Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the On the Road show. My name is Vedad, and here with me, joining us live, Melody Paris. Melody, welcome to the show. How's the situation up there?
It's good. There's no snow. It's just like 35, I guess. It's not bad. Not like Alaska was.
Right. They're saying this week might be a little critical, especially from Wednesday and on. Weather is supposedly going to get critical up there in the Midwest and all across the Canadian border. We'll see how that goes. Melody, let's start from the very beginning. You joined BHX in June 2017, so it's going to be 5 years very soon. Is that right?
Yep.
Born in Iowa, but currently living in Sparta, Tennessee. Tell us a bit about yourself. What do you do in your free time? Do you have any kind of hobbies? How do you spend your time when not on a load?
I'm a gamer, so that's where my time goes. I've been a gamer since my daughter got me hooked on a thing called Perfect World, and I've migrated to my little kids have got me addicted to Minecraft.
Wow.
So I have my own server on Minecraft that my kids can play on, so that I know who's talking to them. I don't have to worry about other people talking to them. So
very interesting. See, I'm 28 years old. Gaming is kind of something that I left behind, but from time to time, I just like to get in, nostalgia and all that. When it comes to survival stuff, I like that a lot. I don't know, maybe they told you about Rust. Have you ever seen that one?
Last Day on Earth is my go-to for that.
Oh, wow. Actually, I played that one on my phone from time to time. Very, very good game.
On my phone and on my iPad. Yeah.
There you go.
But mainly I play Minecraft because since I got my iPad, I can hook a controller to it. So it's just like playing on your TV, like on your PlayStation or whatever. So it's more than just holding the phone in your hand.
Right. Speaking of Last Day on Earth, a quick one. Did you max out your level?
On my iPad, I'm 205.
Oh, okay. Well, I maxed out mine. It took me a couple of months of grinding.
Right.
Such a story.
I'm only like 74, 75 or something like that on my phone. I don't play it as much because the screen is so tiny. So yeah.
Yeah, that would pose, it would make it for a bit difficult experience. Apart from gaming, is there anything else that you do in your free time?
I like to walk around and take a lot of pictures. I take videos and stuff like that. Mainly just for me. I always post them to my Facebook page, and then I get comments back from the family on that. That's one of the main ways I keep in touch with my family, so they know where I actually am in the world. If you ask my wife today, she don't know. She never knows where I am. And when I say, you don't even know where I'm at, if I needed help, you couldn't help me. And she'd say, oh, you move so much and so fast, I can't keep up with you.
Oh, wow. that honestly, that reminds me of my parents back home. Like they have serious troubles tracking me. So it's kind of relevant, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
She'll come up with a state that I've been in like 4 days ago.
Pretty much. One special subject for us, and I cannot skip this one, historical load that you have done recently, a trip to Alaska and came back down to US. Tell us a bit about that trip. How did it go? What did you see? How was the situation up there?
I mean, I started out in Selkirk, Manitoba, and on day one, it was uneventful. It was just great. The weather was great. There was no snow. There was no nothing. I got all the way to Edmonton, Alberta, which is the farthest north I had ever been. Everything was great. So once I left there, it was good. I ran into a storm between there and Alberta, and then I ran into the northern tundra after that. Right after Alberta, I got on the Alaskan highway, and it was good. I had good roads all the way to Fort Nelson, which is one of the highest cities in the Rockies. And the roads were perfect. I could get out without a jacket. It was great. I went to sleep and I woke up to 2 inches of snow. So then the roads were bad. For the next 220 some odd miles, 15 miles an hour was as fast as I could go. Because the roads, they don't do anything to the roads but put like this sandy rocky stuff on them. So then I finally made it to where I could sleep for the night. and I went to sleep. The roads had kind of gotten okay. I woke up the next morning to 2 more inches of snow. So then the roads got really bad. But then once I got out of the Rockies, closer to Alaska, about at the Yukon border, I guess, the snow just like went away. Even on the sides of the road, there was no snow. And it was smooth sailing till I got to the northern part of the Yukon. And then I hit more snow. And then it was snow until I got to the Alaska border. And then once I got into Alaska, of course, I was back in the United States. The roads were clear. Speed limit was 65 miles an hour, which you cannot do because the road is like a roller coaster. It's like they paved it, but it's like the land is taking it back. So, I mean, it will test your suspension, that's for sure. The people were passing me like they knew what they were doing, but for me, no, because I had heavy loaded, and every time I would bounce, my timbers would hit the bottom, and it would sound like my load was falling out. So I'm about 55 is all I could do in Alaska. But Fairbanks was awesome. It's just a large city. They have everything like normal. I had always heard that the prices were outrageous, so I toured Walmart to see. I've heard milk is $15 a gallon. No, it was like $4.08. I mean, it wasn't very much more than what we pay down here, but they pretty much had everything on the shelf that we had.
Right. Well, that's a very good story. I mean, for because not too many people have had an opportunity to drive up to Alaska, and there is just a lot of valuable information right there, Melody. So thank you for sharing that. The farthest trip that I have taken so far, that is, unless I become a driver one day, I've driven from my capital, Sarajevo, down south to Mostar, and that's about 5 hours of driving. I get to see, mountains, valleys. I get to see rivers. It's all kind of beautiful, calm in nature. The highways are nice, but I want to see what does it look like to go to Alaska. So thank you very much for sharing that.
One thing I will tell you, if you have a future drivers that's going, is on the way back, we usually deadhead towards Seattle, and your GPS will send you on Highway 37 saying that it is a faster road. Don't believe it, it's a lie. Stay with the Alaska Highway. I went from the time I got on Highway 37 to almost running out of fuel before I found a station that actually had diesel.
Oh, wow. How far out was it?
By the time I got to the station, my mileage, because I reset it every time I get fuel, and I normally get fuel anywhere between 370 to 400 miles, I was at 478 miles. And I was one line before my blinking light comes on that says you've only got a few more miles left. And I got to that first station, I got $150 worth of fuel, and it still didn't fill me up. So,
wow.
that and the road is really, really curvy. It's like behind the mountains, kind of, and it's really curvy, and there's no sides. It's like a drop off on both sides. There's really not room for your car, so I don't suggest taking that route.
Right. Very, very good tip right there. We will make sure to share with the rest of our drivers as well, because Alaska loads, they don't come around that often. People mostly.
I've been driving 9 years, and this is the first opportunity I've had. We've bid several, but never gotten them. Yeah. And I took it to say, yeah, I could check Alaska off my list, but this was honestly a summer load. Had it been a summer load, it would have been better. I could have got out and I could have seen more things because I had plenty of time. They gave me 5.5 days to get there, and I got there in 3. Mm-hmm. And because of the snow and the temperature and everything, it really wasn't that I could get out and look around and do things.
Right. And I noticed when you were in transit and on your way back as well, there were several situations where we could not reach you or you could not reach us. Yep. So I assume there are signal issues in some of those areas.
Yeah, on the way, it was intermittent, but on the way back on that Highway 37 I was telling you about, from 8 o'clock in the morning until 10:30 the next morning, I had no service whatsoever, even in the small towns that I would stop and get fuel at, which turned out to be Indian reservations. There was no service for me whatsoever.
I noticed parts of British Columbia were problematic, and then some parts of Yukon, right?
Yeah, I would have to wait till I got closer to the larger cities, like Fort Nelson had service, of course, because it was one of the larger towns. But you would see smaller towns that would have signs that would say RV parking, diesel, gas, restaurant, and at the very bottom it would have a sign that says closed for the season. So in that area, it's like no one is there. So they don't have any kind of service whatsoever.
Right, right. And what was, I mean, estimately, what was the longest period of time from one point to another during which you didn't have a signal?
Well, on the way back, I didn't have signal for a day and 2 hours, but on the way over, roughly 25 to 30 miles after I would leave a larger town, it would go down to one bar and then it would just diminish to my phone would say no service whatsoever. And then when I would get close to the next town, most of them 100 miles, 120 miles apart, I would get sort of a signal back. And every time I would get sort of a signal back, I would stop at one of what they call the rest area. It's nothing more than an outhouse on the side of the road, but they had rest areas. So I would stop at one of them so that my phone could catch up and send a signal. And then I would go on. As far as traffic, on the way back, I probably didn't see one car every 2 hours.
Wow. So it's pretty dead.
Yeah. And then I was thinking to myself, I'm about to run out of diesel. Nobody's on the road with me. So if I'm going to have to walk for hours just to get help if I run out of diesel or if something happens. And it was just like the way back was worse than going. The way going, it was good. I mean, I would see people periodically. On the way back, I was getting a little bit worried.
Right. I mean, reasonably so. We were watching you by GPS. We were able to see your movement. We were just not able to always give you a call.
Right.
It wouldn't always go through. But if you know, especially when we send someone to such remote areas, we monitor them, see if they stopped. That's a cause for us to you know, take some action, see what's the closest facility or a company or something, reach out to them, and then have them reach out to the driver. There's always a way to take some action and make sure everything is okay. I remember one story with one of our drivers who was sent to New Brunswick. This was a year and a half ago, approximately. He would go up there. There was no signal in certain part where he was supposed to deliver. We could not reach him. He had to wait for a ferry service, and he had no way to reach us either. So we were concerned. The family reached out to us, and the way how we handle the situation is find the closest restaurant to what we believe was the location. I mean, his delivery address was there, and we believed, okay, he could be there. That's the best prediction we could make. We reached out to them. They found him. They reported back to us, and everyone was happy. So yeah, those parts.
I've done the New Brunswick one too.
There you go. You understand what I'm talking about then. Those areas where the signal is non-existent, it's posing a big concern for all of us, and we have to be creative. We have to find ways how to make sure everything is going right. I want to go back to the very start of your career for a moment. I like to ask all BHX drivers what influenced their choice when they were choosing this for their career. What were the factors that you took into account?
Well, I had already been driving for almost 4.5 years when I moved to BH. I drove for a small company out of New York called Interstate Express for 3 years. Mm-hmm. And then I moved from there to Bolt Express. While at Bolt Express, I bought my own van. And then I ran my own van with them for right at a year. And I met a driver that you guys had out on the road, and he was talking about how you guys were making money. And I was like, yeah, I'm not making anywhere close to that. So I gave Alden a call, and I'm like, I'm interested. This is what I've been doing. And he said, okay, we can start. And I was like, okay, let's do it. So I turned in my notice at Bolt, and I started driving for BH, and I haven't looked back yet. Almost 5 years now.
Very good. What is your impression of BHX? You have been with us for a very long time. In fact, you're one of the drivers who have spent the longest time with us in this company. You have seen BHX develop through many different stages. And yep. when you put that all together, what is your impression? Are we heading in the right direction? We're doing
a lot of things better than we did before. When I first started out, I think we had 60 vans, and we only had a couple of dispatchers in the St. Louis office, and now we got somebody there 24/7, which is great in case I need to get a hold of anybody. From the beginning at BHX, I kept saying, I need to know who's texting me, because when it comes on my phone, no matter which number St. Louis uses, it comes in and says BHX. So I don't know who I'm talking to. So I begged Alden over and over and over, and finally whenever they started working on the app and everything, they put it out. And if you look at the text messages, it says Melody's been begging for this for years, and now we've done it. So now it tells me who I'm talking to. I like to know who I'm interacting with. It helps a lot to know who's on the other end.
Right. Yeah. I mean, our to-do list works that way. There is something that we or our drivers recognize as necessary and valuable to have. We put it on there. Some things might take less, some things might take more time, but eventually it will be done. So it's nice to see that one. That was a good example.
Those people will run you over, and if you cause them road rage, then they are going to slam on the brakes in front of you. They will do everything they can to make you wreck, and that's the only city that I've ever run into that mess in. But they want you to go as fast as everyone else, so you do, to keep from getting run over, because the semis will do it too, and they are way bigger than me. They can have my spot if they want it.
Speaking of those reckless individuals in the traffic, I do understand. I've seen it with my own eyes. Sometimes it happens all around the world. People sometimes try to speed you up. They sometimes drive next to you and give you some kind of a face or a signal, or they get in front of you and then they try to slow you down. How do you deal with reckless individuals around you in traffic?
Well, the way I drive, I normally don't run into those. I'll tell you a story. I was in St. Louis. I was headed to the office, and I needed to get in the turning lane because the road ahead was blocked. So I got over in the turning lane, but the guy that was trying to get in the turning lane behind me thought that I was trying to run him off the road, which was not the case. I was there before he got there, but he was just going faster than me. Mm-hmm. So we got to the end of the off ramp, and he threw a bottle at my van.
Oh, wow.
Trying to break my window because he was mad that I got in front of him. But I just went right onto the office, didn't break my window, it didn't hurt anything, and he was the one that was mad, not me. So
wow. Did he cause any damage to your window?
No.
Oh, it was a plastic bottle?
No, it was glass.
Oh, wow.
Oh, he was intending on breaking the window.
Yeah.
He just didn't accomplish what he was doing. But
Thank God.
That's the only time. And then way back when I very first started, I got a scare. Mm-hmm. I was parked at a Walmart. I was driving someone else's van at the time, and I used propane for heat. So I had just went into Walmart and got the propane for heat to lay down for the night. And just as I got to sleep, someone tried to break into my van. Mm-hmm. They shook the van hard enough that it woke me up. So by the time I got from where I was in the van to the door to see, he had already went around behind. So I flashed my emergency flashes so that he would know that someone was in the car. And then I called the police, and he ran behind the Walmart. And when they came back out, they didn't even stop to talk to me. So I was like, yep, not staying here. So I had to go. But that's the only time that I've really been scared or anything like that. And my reasoning is I was in the Army, so there's not a whole lot that scares me. But
how long have you been in the Army, Melody?
I was in from 90 to 94. Then I went back in the National Guard in 93, I think, and got out in 2009. No, in 2003, and got out in 2009.
Right. And during this period, were you in service in the United States or abroad?
In the United States.
We here
don't. Yeah, I joined the Army to see abroad. Didn't get to see none of it. I see more in the truck.
Right. Here we don't have the Army. We have armed forces, and only a tiny bit of population gets recruited into that. There is no open recruitment. There are no reserves. So it's kind of all different. What I like about Army is the fact that it builds a discipline into the person. And much of our newer generation. Yeah, much of our newer generation is kind of lacking because things have changed. We don't have the Army period anymore, so it is what it is. That's a nice part to share, and you have a lot of experiences from different fields right there. Here is one more thing about the loads. I know you have done Alaska load just recently, but I want to ask this. You have been on the road with BHX all across US and Canada. What was your favorite load and why?
My favorite load.
Right.
Probably the Newfoundland load.
Why?
Because I had to take I picked it up in South Carolina, and it was right about Thanksgiving. And I had never been to Newfoundland. So it was like 2,300 miles or something like that. And 250 of those were on the ocean. And then I delivered all the way over to the college, and it was just a trip that I never thought I would ever take. And then being able to take the pictures on the way back, because the ferry only runs twice a day, 11:30 at night and 11:30 in the day. So I rushed to get there for the nighttime one, and then I drove back so I could get the daytime one on the way back. And it was wintertime, so they had the bridge closed, so you weren't allowed to go up top. But I explained to them that I was the driver and this was my first trip out there, so they escorted me to the top so I could take pictures.
Wow.
And there was a storm out in the ocean, and I was just standing there in awe looking at it. And the guy says, "What are you looking at?" And I said, "That storm over there." And he says, "Yeah, I can't remember what he called it, but the storm was not raining down. It was pulling water up from the ocean to make it stronger. But the water was rising. It was not falling."
Right. Did you manage to capture that?
I have a picture of it. I did not get it on video.
You got to share that one with me. I want to see it.
It's every picture that I've ever taken for the road is on my Facebook page.
It's time for me to check out your Facebook page.
Yeah, I have pictures of the Grand Canyon. I have pictures of a lot of national parks. Everything I do is on my Facebook page. When I get done with the load, I'm actually in the process of uploading videos to my TikTok right now from the Alaska trip.
Oh, wow. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we have a lot of reasons to visit Melody's Facebook and TikTok page, so let's make sure to do so. They're titled under your name, right?
No. Well, my Facebook page is, if you're not a friend of a friend, you won't see it because it's blocked up like that. My TikTok page is under Dewdrop MP.
There we go. As for Facebook, I knew there was a catch, but it is what it is. We'll get to that picture eventually.
Yeah, I'll try to find it and I'll post it for BHX.
Nice. I appreciate that. Thank you. And speaking of your trip to Newfoundland, are the sunsets of Atlantic, are the views of Atlantic that nice? I know you mentioned storm.
I went over in the dark, so what you really couldn't see nothing. If you go at a certain time of year, if you go to the left side of Newfoundland, the trip is 7.5 hours on the ferry. But if you go like in the summertime, you can take a 16-hour ferry and it takes you straight over to St. Paul. And that would take you 16 hours over the ocean, which would be just like a cruise. So that would be awesome to take just if you were going. So that I think you would get some amazing pictures that way. In the wintertime, they closed that one down because of the icebergs.
Is that on your bucket list up to this day?
Yeah, I think I want to do that. And I'm still waiting on BH to get me a trip that I can take on a plane, a package to Hawaii.
Well,
I have hauled loads that ultimately end up to Hawaii. I've taken them to the airport, and I took it to the airport, and I'm like, I'm requesting to deliver this to its destination, and they're like, why? And I'm like, look where it's going. I took like a 30-pound box to the airport.
Sounds like that's
that in my suitcase.
Yeah, sounds like that's another thing for us for our to-do list. Get our trips to Hawaii. Good one. Yep. Good one. Melody, you're waiting on a load right now. Our team is working on getting one, and I will not be looking to stretch this much longer beyond what we have done so far.
Just got the last one.
There you go. Just for the end. Let's imagine that you're on a big stadium. There's a big crowd in front of you. They're all BHX drivers, their families, their dispatchers, the management. All eyes and all attention is on you. What would your message be for the entire BHX team out there?
BHX is a great family to work for. You should treat it as your family, and everything will be just like it's supposed to be at the end of the day.
Gotcha. Thank you for the message, and I will cut this one out, likely to merge it earlier. I did not ask, it just came to my mind. Did you ever have a situation to meet any BHX drivers on the way out there?
I have met Admir, and I have met Nick, and there's a couple of people that I have met that I don't remember their names, that they said they used to work for BH. But as far as running into other BHX drivers, really not so many. I think I met Admir in Canada. I met another guy in Canada, but I'm not sure he still works for BH.
I know, like
But
those.
rarely, because I go places most people don't want to go.
That's also playing the role in there. Like I'm personally a member of one automotive club here, and we have a lot of members, but usually on weekends or holidays people go all across the country, and when you see somebody somewhere, you get happy. You eventually get a chance to stop by, exchange a few words. I mean, that's a nice coincidence, I believe. As for the drivers out there, especially driving in such a big country as United States, that's even bigger. So I mean,
Yeah.
do you recall what kind of situations were those? Let's say with Admir.
Most of the times, just sitting at the truck stops at the end of a load, or waiting for the next morning to deliver something. Nick, I've ran into twice in Saskatoon because we were delivering to the same place.
Interesting. How do the drivers spend their time when they meet each other? Like, what are the most common subjects they discuss?
How long have you been driving? How much do you make? And how do you like it? What's your van setup look like? That's the most common from every driver I've ever met. Even if not BHX. Like I said, I've been driving in a van for 9 years. I drove a semi before that. So you run into all different kinds of people. That's one thing I love about this job, because you never meet the same personality twice. Because today I might see you and you're in a good mood. Tomorrow you may be in a grumpy mood. So tomorrow your personality is different. So you get a perspective of what their day has been like just by their demeanor. But I've met thousands and thousands of people, and I love that about my job, because I meet something new and do something new every day.
Right. When I asked this question, I thought, okay, their first thing is going to be the same as what we do when we find each other out there on the road. And that question would be, hey, where are you coming from and where are you heading to? But that didn't make your list for some reason. But that's okay.
Like for Nick, we're in Saskatoon, so we both knew we were delivering to Case New Holland. That's the only thing there. So, I mean, I don't really care where you've been. I don't really care how much you make. I care how you've been, because your well-being could, in essence, work against me. If you're in a bad mood and you take off out of here, you could crash and hurt someone. You could crash and hurt me. So I care that you're in a good state of mind. That's just me, I guess, because I know a lot of people say, I don't ever see you mad. Okay. Well, if I get mad, who's it hurting? It's not going to hurt you. I'm mad. It's hurting me. I know you have a job to do. I know I have a job to do, and they're not the same. So me getting mad at you for what I think you didn't do is pointless. I can tell you, hey, I need you to do this for me. And then if it doesn't get done, then I might get mad. But normally it's just something that's been overlooked. So there's no reason for me to upset myself and then in turn upset you because of something that could have been a misunderstanding. It makes no sense for you to be mean to people out here, that especially shippers. Let's say you get to a shipper and they don't know where your load is. Okay, I'm just the driver, honey. If we find it, we find it. If we don't, I'll go to the next one. There's no reason for me to be upset at you for something you can't control. It makes absolutely no sense to me why people get so mad at people out here. It makes no sense at all.
Right. We do not know Melody as a person who gets upset or mad easily. And I was just about to ask this. We know what Melody is like from our perspective of dispatch and operations, but what about Melody behind the scenes, the personal Melody? Does she get upset easily? Same thing?
Nope, because it's only hurting me. Well, I mean, my health depends on if I'm happy or sad. So what you see right now is the way I am all the time. If you were to see me out on the road, this is exactly the way you would see me. If you see me in 10 years, you're going to see me just like this. There's no reason to be ugly to people. There's no reason to speak nasty to people.
Right.
It makes no sense. The world would be a much better place if everybody would just treat each other the way they want to be treated. I know I don't want people yelling at me, so I don't go around yelling at people. It makes no sense whatsoever.
Right. I mean, my take on the situation, on everything that happens every day is pretty much the same. It just doesn't help any situation to resolve itself. It's just pointless. And yes, it is hurting the person who holds themselves to such feelings. So we're on the same page right there. Melody, I thank you very much for taking time to be a special guest on our show On the Road with me today, joining us live from Edgar, Wisconsin, not North Little Rock. We got that down now. Thank you very much. Yeah. Thank you very much on your time and for sharing your experiences with us. I wish you a very successful week ahead. Stay safe out there, and I look forward to another opportunity of meeting you on this show in the future again.
All right, let's go to Cali.
Sure, we will. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us today. Also, same wishes for the rest of you watching us out there. Have a wonderful week, and see you all in a new episode next week. Goodbye.